Good afternoon, everybody. This is Steve Fletcher with the Trumpet for My People. Today is August 25th, 2021, and I want to share a piece of information about where we are right now on the calendar of Noah. And I want to get us started. Last year on Election Day, which I don't think there's going to be any coincidence here with everything that we have seen leading up to where we are now, that the flood began last November 4th on Election Day. If we go to the Hebrew calendar, November 4th of 2020, the day of the election, it was 17th of Chesvan. Okay, this is the 17th day of the second month in the timing of Noah, in the calendar that was used in the timing of Noah. And Genesis 7:11 says, in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. Okay, so we have election day that took place November 4th, 17th of Chesvan. Now we have a huge confirmation on the 40-day marker. This was the biggest confirmation ever of 40 days after the beginning of the flood, going forth 40 days from November 4th brings us to December 14th, 2020. Now this was the middle day on the two great American eclipses. This was the day that Joe Biden was confirmed as president based on the Electoral College, and this was the first day of vaccinations in the United States. December 14th, 40 days. Genesis 7:17. The flood was 40 days upon the earth. And the waters increased and bare up the ark, and it was lift up above the earth. Okay, lift up above the earth. And then we have another time frame that is given to us. Genesis 7:24 says the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. This is including the 40 days. It's not 40 days plus 150 days. The waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. Basically 5 months. Now if we go forward 150 days, 5 months from November 4th, it brings us to Resurrection Sunday, 150 days. When the ark was risen above the earth, the waters prevailed upon the earth. Resurrection Sunday, 150 days, April 4th, 2021. Now, where are we right now with everything that is happening in the world? Let us take a look at today, August 25th, 2021, on the Hebrew calendar. Okay, all of this is based on the Hebrew calendar. Okay, this is how we can know where we are on the Hebrew calendar, because in the timing of the flood, we are given the beginning of the flood, we're giving the 40 days, we're given the 150 days, and now we're going to follow it out to the end of the flood on the calendar that we are following. Okay, so today on August 25th, which is the 17th of Elul on the Hebrew calendar, in Jewish history, today, on this day, today, the 17th of Elul, on this day in Jewish history, Noah dispatches the dove. Following the failed attempt to dispatch a raven from the ark, if we can go to this day in history for Elul 10, 7 days earlier, Noah sent out a dove from the window of the ark to see if the great flood that covered the earth had abated. But the dove found no resting place for the sole of its foot and returned to the ark. Noah waited 7 days before making another attempt. Okay, so here we have the dispatching of the dove, Elul 17, but it was not abated. The waters had not abated off the earth. Okay, the dove came back to the ark. So then Noah had to send out another dove 7 days later. Okay, what happened then? On the 23rd of Elul. Okay, 23rd of Elul, which is August 31st. Now we're talking. Okay, now we have a big deadline here. This is the big news in the world right now. This Afghanistan red line deadline of August 31st. Some people are saying that it's being moved up to maybe even August 28th. But that was based on one report. I have not seen if there are other confirmations of that. We're going to have to watch over the coming days if there's going to be the deadline given actually on August 28th, or if it's going to go all the way through to August 31st. But we have this big event and this big news story right now. Everything, we have to get everybody out of Afghanistan. We don't want anybody, what? Left behind. We don't want anybody left behind in Afghanistan. So here we have this big story worldwide. This is the big thing that is being pushed right now, the red line of the Taliban for August 31st. This is the 23rd of Elul on the Hebrew calendar. What happened on the 23rd of Elul? This day in Jewish history, the dove brings the olive leaf. On the 301st day of the great flood, Noah sent a dove for the second time from the ark. This time the dove stayed away all day. The dove came into him in the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf plucked off, and Noah knew that the waters were abated from off the earth. Okay. Look at how what is happening in the world today is even lining up with the history of Noah's flood. We have the beginning of the flood and how this lines up with the election and the 40 days taking us to the confirmation of Joe Biden, taking us to the first vaccinations. We've got 150 days taking us to Resurrection Day. And then we have right now where we are on August 25th, the dove being dispatched, but not having a place to put his foot, not having any vegetation to eat. So he came back to the ark, and then on August 31st, which is the 23rd of Elul, Noah sent a dove for the second time from the ark. This time the dove stayed away all day. The dove came into him in the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf plucked off, and Noah knew that the waters were abated from off of the earth. Okay. What happened after this event took place in the story of the ark? Okay. The next event was the third mission of the dove. Tishri 1, September 7th, 2021, Feast of Trumpets, the third mission of the dove. On the 1st of Tishri, on the 307th day of the great flood, Noah dispatched a dove from the ark for the third time. When the dove did not return, Noah knew that the flood waters had completely drained from the earth. On that day, Noah removed the roof of the ark. But Noah and his family and all the animals remained in the ark for another 57 days until the 27th of Chesvan, when the surface of the earth was completely dry, and God commanded them to leave the ark and resettle and repopulate the earth. Okay. They did not get off of the ark that day, but they did open the ark on the first day of the 7th month. Okay. In the timing of Noah, it actually says on the first day of the first month. But in the calendar of Noah was the fall. The flood began in the fall. So we're following here the timeline of the flood. If we start the flood where the election began, we have a 40-day marker. We have a 150-day marker. August 25th is today. Noah is dispatching the dove. Okay. Then we have next week on the 31st, in a few days, 6 or 7 days from now, Noah dispatches the second dove, and he brings back an olive leaf. And it was on the Feast of Trumpets that Noah released the third dove. And when the dove did not return, he knew that the waters had been abated off of the face of the earth, and he opened the ark on the Feast of Trumpets. Okay? This is the timeline of the flood. This is the timeline of Jewish history, and this is connecting everything we have seen over the last year to all of the current events along this timeline. And now we have coming up on August 31st, the day of the second dove. And from here, only 7 more days to the Feast of Trumpet, from August 31st to September 7th. Okay? And this is following the Hebrew calendar. This is following where we are now based on the Hebrew calendar. Okay? Connected to the beginning of the flood and the election of Joe Biden. Okay, this is what I wanted to share with you guys now. There is some information I want to share with you about August 28th, which may connect with what they are saying. There is a news item that is coming out that they're going to want everybody out of Afghanistan not on August 31st, but on August 28th. They're only giving them 72 more hours. Okay, there is information I want to share with you about August 28th. I need to put that information together, and I also need to see how things are going to be playing out over the next couple days with where everything is headed with all of the world news. So that is something I'm not going to share right now with you, but I do have more information to share with you about August 28th. So we'll see what happens with that, okay? So for right now, I hope this information is helpful and a blessing to all of you. I pray you are blessed. This is Steve Fletcher with a trumpet for my people, the sign of his coming revealed.